Well, how do human beings cope with fear during a crisis? The responses we've seen to COVID-19 in 2020 has shown us some pretty surprising examples. We've seen people stockpile all kinds of supplies, even some pretty ridiculous ones like toilet paper. We've seen people blame certain groups within society as though they're at fault for what's happening in the world. We've seen people make some truly reckless decisions, all in the hope that this would deal with the root cause of their fear. I know there have been times when fear has motivated my own response to this crisis as well. Fear is a powerful emotion that can cause people to act irrationally and selfishly. It's something that's primal and natural within us, yet we all know that a response motivated by fear is usually not the right response. And so what do we do with our fear? How do we respond rightly in the middle of a crisis without being motivated by fear? And what hope can we have when we're afraid? Well, in this series, as we're looking at Jesus' perspective, we see that the response that he continually calls people to in a time of crisis is not to give in to fear, but instead to have faith. Luke, the author, records for us 4 different times when people come face to face with an uncontrollable crisis. We're told about different situations where people come face to face with something that's beyond human power. And so we're told about an uncontrollable storm in one story. We're told about a powerful and possessed person. We're told about a daughter overcome by death. And we're told about a woman who's been gravely ill for many years. You see, in each situation, the people involved are naturally overwhelmed by fear and they have nowhere else to turn. I wonder if you've ever been in a similar situation before. Well, as each of these characters turns to Jesus as their last resort, Jesus' consistent way of handling the crisis is to tell people, you can see Luke 8:50, don't be afraid, just believe. You see, Jesus' response to fear is not mitigation or self-preservation, but Jesus tells those who are watching that he will take care of it. Whether it's the forces of nature or the forces of evil, whether it's sickness or even death itself, nothing is beyond the power of Jesus. And so Jesus shows them and us that he is the only one that can be totally trusted in a time of crisis. He is the one who has the power to overcome. And as Luke will ultimately show by the end of his story, Jesus does have the final victory by his death and resurrection. The response that Jesus calls everyone to is not to be overcome by fear, but instead to trust him. And so how about for you? As Luke's story shows us, Jesus really is the one who can be trusted in a time of crisis. And so can I ask, what's stopping you from putting your faith in Jesus today?